Omar Romero, how are you? Long time no see.
Hi, Bill. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a long time. That's right.
That's good to see we're all in black today, right? You got the memo.
I
So
got the
Omar,
mem.
Omar Miner, tell me about your new role at Miner. What are you doing there?
Yeah, of course. Well, and I've been already with Minor close to 9 months, and my title is I'm the Chief Development and Luxury Officer for Minor. I oversee our global growth for all our brands, from luxury all the way to our mid-scale brands, and having, a great start with the company, I must say.
So luxury, that's kind of a chief of luxury at Miner is a big job, right?
Well, I'm not specifically just the chief of luxury. Obviously, 85% of my role will be more focused on growth. But given my background on my previous job, definitely I have quite a lot of involvement when it comes to the luxury piece of the business. And I feel very passionate about that, as you know, Bill, as well.
I've got a lot of questions about, when we're talking about luxury, today we're talking about affordable luxury, talking about lifestyle luxury, it's such an overused term. I mean, tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing with luxury.
Yeah, I think we have quite a few brands that were focused on delivering luxury. But maybe the first thing to say is let's define what luxury means, because for us in Minor, luxury is not any longer about opulence and, beautiful like glass chandeliers and marble flooring. For us, luxury is about being able to bring people and make people connect with what really matters for them, right? And we're creating these destinations that would allow people to reconnect with them in nature, with bigger spaces, in places that truly represent the destination that they are visiting, and definitely provide these unique memories that they will make them come back and talk about the property to their friends. So that for us is luxury.
There's some interesting things. I know we're talking about. Do you think luxury is evolving is because the consumer is changing? I know if we look at some of the top end luxury resorts around the world, the demographic has shifted. The consumer is shifting as well. So the luxury experience today, is it being redefined by generational changes, or is it just new ideas, or is it a combination of all these things?
I think it's a combination of all these things, and like someone like you that is a big advocate of sustainability, for example, when we talk about luxury 40 years ago, sustainability was nowhere close to the agenda, right? Today, I think that sustainability is in the top of the agenda for many companies, including us at Minor. And that agenda sustainability, together with, finding trips and vacations that are more memorable, that allow people to reconnect, are forcing us to change what luxury really means for the new clientele demands, because it's not anymore about demographic. I think it's more about psychographic and what people really are looking after.
I mean, I guess when you talk about sustainability and developers, how do you find that differs? You work in a lot of areas around the world. When you're talking about sustainability, is that value system different from country to country or region to region? Or are you finding common threads?
Well, I think the common thread that I'm very grateful to start seeing, and hopefully you can agree with me, is that at least now everyone recognizes that we need to be more responsible when it comes to the development and operations of hotels. So that's already a big win. 15, 20 years ago, Bill, when we were talking about this stuff, that word of sustainability didn't resonate as much as it does today, right? Now, the level of education when it comes to sustainability definitely varies according to the destination where you are operating, but also according to the needs of the country. It's not the same to develop, a property in Phuket in Thailand or to develop something in the Middle East. The sustainability needs are very different. And for us, sustainability is not just about protecting the environment. That definitely is a big part of it, but it's also about social sustainability, about how can you embrace that local culture, that local heritage, and really showcase that to the visitors that come to the properties. And another very important piece of this is combining these two things. We need to make sure that the property is sustainably financially as well. So that's another piece. The financial piece of this is key.
Sure. So I think it's interesting with Miners. Miners kind of it's kind of built its own capacity over the years with luxury and with its other brands as well. That journey has created its own culture. But how do you mold that together really into some, working with a team that has a common vision, for that? I know you've worked with other chains. We're coming to the Miners scenario. Again, you've got a lot of people from different disciplines, uh, different different brands as well. How do you bring it together?
Yeah, well, I think Sustainability needs to come from the top and from the bottom, right? And when I talk about the top in Minor, I talk about our chairman and founder, Bill Heineke, who is very passionate about sustainability. As a matter of fact, our chief sustainability officer in Minor reports directly to him, so he's very involved on how we take sustainability very seriously. So that's already a passion of the company, and we have to follow that. And then is how we implement sustainability within our properties, right? And have true specialists that are meaningfully working on sustainability principles as we operate our properties across the globe.
Maybe let's shift in to talk a little bit about wellness. I know we had a wellness event a couple of weeks ago. We had the Anantara Life people coming. It's such an impressive element. I mean, wellness has changed. 20 years ago, Thailand was hot on spas. They've gone through medical tourism. They've gone through aesthetic. Now wellness, whether it's branded residences, whether it's hotels as well, wellness or well-being is the hot topic. How do you think that journey is coming, certainly with your brands as well? How important is it?
Well, it's a key pillar for us, especially at our Anantara brand. And as you just mentioned, in our Anantara Layan in Phuket, late last year, we opened our wellness club called Layan Life. It's a beautiful wellness center. So just to maybe differentiate, we have two things in Anantara Layan. We have a spa and we have a wellness center. The wellness center is called Layan Life. You want to have, a relaxing massage or maybe a small initiation towards wellness with a, beginner's yoga class, etc. You go to the spa. But if you want to go deep into your wellness and well-being journey, then you come to Layan Life, and there we have a lot of wellness verticals that you can explore, for yourself. We're talking about longevity, beauty, pain management, fitness, nutrition, sleep, you name it, right? So the intention here is that wellness is not something that you can pick up from a shelf. Wellness is something that is very personalized. Each and one of us, we have our own different wellness objectives and wellness needs, and this is a very important vertical for our business, and we're actually bringing that as well into the residential piece of it, because talking about branded residences as well, which is very important for our company. If you look at our pipeline today, I will say globally around in our luxury pipeline, around 30% of our projects today have a branded residential component into it. But for us, it's about how do you activate the brand in these branded residences, right? It's not just slapping a logo on a building, but how can you do that? And wellness is a great piece to do that.
So in simplistic terms, what is a brand, what's a wellness branded residence? I mean, we see it touted, we have a lot of people talking about it, but what the hell is a wellness branded residence? I'm confused. Help me, please, Omar.
I'm so happy you asked me that question, because I think everyone gets very confused. There are two. Let's make the differentiation first. What is a branded residence? Is when you put, a brand behind a building that has certain values, principles, or touch points that will need to be activated within the building. And then we have something else that is called labeled residences, right? Where you have well-known brands and they label buildings. So for us, to have a residential project that has wellness into it is not just about finding, some corner inside the house that you are buying and throw a yoga mat and a couple of weights and call it a wellness corner. That's not really what we're after. What we're after is how can we make our buyers and customers' life healthier as they live in their home. How we're looking at doing that is with quite a few ideas and technology. For example, if they're in a city, we'll have technology to make sure that the air that they are breathing in their homes and their children are breathing in their homes is cleaner. We have a technology that will allow us to regulate the intensity of the lights in the house, and that will help with the circadian rhythm of the inhabitants of the unit. So you will wake up better, you will sleep better.
For good sleep, right?
Yeah, for good sleep, that's correct. We'll have, in the water taps, we put magnesium filters, which, as we know, is extremely important for us. When you are shaving in the morning or putting makeup, we'll have white light in the mirror of your bathroom that will help you wake up. We'll put red light in the shower, which is very good for your skin, as you know. And these are just this is a little sneak preview of some of the ideas that we have of what for us wellness residences mean. Is bringing that technology and that knowledge into a unit.
So maybe you're traveling a lot. You're talking to new developers. You talk about wellness residences in the branded residences space. What other type of real estate is really sexy out there right now? What are the latest ideas or latest trends which are catching on when you're visiting other markets?
Well, that's a big question, but I think we have to maybe divide it into two different possibilities. One is the leisure component, in which we're talking about either a ski mountain branded residence, a beach branded residence, etc., etc. And there the trends, I believe, continue to be definitely sustainable developments. People want to be in residences that are not having a big impact on the earth, and they don't want to have a big impact while they are living in their unit, but they are also looking for their space, privacy, and for reconnection. I think people nowadays are really seeking these places that will allow them to reconnect with whatever matters for them, right? Call it family, friends, children, your own self, your health, etc., etc. So that's one. But when it comes to the urban piece of the residences, again, I think what people are looking for, because we're all living in a state of constant movement. We're all busy. Life has become very fast paced in cities nowadays. So we're looking for effortless living. So how can we activate those services to make life of our residents easier? And I think that's another big trend that is happening. So 24/7 concierge services, etc., are things that people are really seeking for, in my opinion.
Let's talk a little about global playgrounds. These type of things. We're talking a lot Miami, Dubai. We talked about Bangkok, even in terms with products coming there, which are global brands. These type of buyers have typical multiple residences. They collect things. How does a brand resonate when you're trying to get these? There's always 3 degrees of separation with these type of buyers who are collecting these type of residents. They don't care how much it is per square foot or square meter. They're not comparing prices in the local real estate, but they're collecting a portfolio. With these collectors, how are you able to attract these type of buyers? You guys sell big villas. I know in Phuket, even during COVID, you're selling 20 million plus US dollars for these big villas. How are you able to attract that type of global collector for your real estate?
Yeah, I think that's, again, another very good question. And I think it's all about what the brand has to offer in terms of values. And that truly resonates with this type of buyers, right? So once you find a buyer that really appreciates and identifies himself, herself with these values, then they will follow us wherever we go. I can tell you, but I cannot talk too much about it. We are very close to announce a wellness residential project in Miami, for example, with an Antara hotel. And these are people that, when visited our properties in Phuket, they love our Anantara Layan residences. And they're like, well, how can we bring those values, but put them into the Miami context? And we're doing something similar in Dubai and in other parts of the world, right? So it's all about what the brand stands for, which I believe is what people are really looking after.
So I guess when you talk about that, it's interesting because are people looking at more, traditionally you'd be looking about the confines of your residence, but are the facilities and the engagement points much different now for buyers? They're looking for a broader experience. They're looking for more facilities. They're looking for more areas, within the residential projects or the co-located project together with a hotel.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, that's the answer. I think people are really looking for spaces where, large spaces that give them privacy within the unit, but then we are all social beings. So people are certainly looking for those common areas that will allow them to do, what they're seeking or they're looking after, right? So, for example, in quite a few of our projects now, we're looking at doing membership clubs, either social or wellness focus or both, that will allow us to bring this community together, right? Because at the end of the day, I think that community living is what really adds value to people at all levels, by the way. This is not just on the luxury segment, but even in the upscale and mid-scale segment, there is always a space where we could find this community living, and that comes with the common areas that we can provide to our buyers.
Let's talk a little bit about Asia, in terms of, which markets are you finding the hot? Let's get on an airplane. Where are the top 3 locations right now in Asia, or top 5, whatever, which are hot marketplaces for branded residences? Give me your opinion.
I think the one that comes to mind straight away, which is very close to my heart, as you know, is Phuket. Phuket has been doing extremely well over the last few years. It's quite a lot of development is still going on there, and it got to a level, and you're more an expert than I am, but is definitely up there with the Dubais, the Miamis, etc. In terms of the branded resi plays that are coming up, right? So
Next
so
stop.
that's quite
Where are we off to?
next stop. So after that, I think Vietnam has a couple of very interesting destinations that are coming up as well. Um, Phu Quoc, for example, while very developed, there is still a few corners that on the island that will give us that opportunity to create something very special. The Da Nang coast as well is another location that I believe has potential. And then if we go to Indonesia, Indonesia is big, but Bali, while very developed, the branded residential market is relatively untapped. We have a very beautiful Anantara Dragon residences there, but we believe that we can do more into that property. We also have an Anantara Ubud that would have some residential product as well. So there is definitely, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, these are three interesting markets to watch out in Asia. And then if we go a little bit further that, Japan is the other one, right? So Japan, we are very close to announce again a project sometime in July. And just a couple hours drive from Tokyo in a beautiful location that will have a very, very high-end Anantara branded residential units for sale with private onsens and everything that destination has to offer. So Japan is another destination we have to be looking at very closely.
Maybe that's about an hour away from Tokyo or something, right? Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes.
Who knows?
You might know.
And we've been talking about the Anantara a lot, but Minor is a much bigger conglomerate. What about the other brands for branded residential? Are you thinking that, with your vast brand arsenal there, which you got a virtual arsenal of brands, do you think with Minor you're going to be, looking at other branded residence opportunities, not just luxury?
Yes, definitely. So, for example, we just signed a hotel management agreement in India for an Avani in Vizag, beautiful private beach with a golf course. And we'll have great Avani residences there. And we're looking at quite a few opportunities under that brand with Branded Resi because that brand has a lot of opportunity. Avani, for whoever doesn't know the brand, is our premium lifestyle brand. It's for a younger type of clientele, but at the same time, it does share some of the company values such as sustainability and wellness. We have our wellness centers in Avani, it's called Avani Well. And then our NH Collection brand is another brand that is growing very well when it comes to residences. So definitely our stronghold of NH Collections are in Europe. We are the largest hotel operator in, Amsterdam, Spain, Italy. And we are certainly now looking and exploring quite a few residential opportunities.
There's a lot more once you get past the Anantara. Talking about developers. Yes. Okay, so when you talk to a developer, top 3 tips, what are the good things they do? What are the bad things they do?
I think obviously the good things they do is they are looking at making developments that will add value to the destinations where they are going. I think one of the things that I always advise developers, especially when they're going into the branded residential world, is I always say this is no one single residential project is the same from the other one, right? Branded residences is a simple and complicated business. So get the right team around themselves will save them a lot of money. Get the right consultants, get the right business planning, and get the right costing from the very beginning is one of the best advices I can give. And then, of course, get the brand that you identify yourself with, that you think that your clientele and your customers will feel identify with as well, to be able to sell your resi as much as you can at the highest and fastest volume.
I guess from a business perspective, this has been a pretty turbulent year. There's a lot of odd things happening in the world, as we know. Certain individuals shall remain nameless, but certainly tariffs and other things around the world. It's really difficult operating businesses right now. Are you seeing how's business sentiment 2025, certainly with branded residences or just with hotel development?
Well, for us at Minor International, we have just issued our first quarterly report of this year, and for the first time in many, many years, we have reported a profit within Q1. Normally, Q1 is always historically very challenging for us. So the year for us financially so far is looking good. However, the reality is we have a lot of headwinds ahead of us this year. We have an individual that, as you say, let's don't talk about him, but he's not helping us because we have a trade war going on, and we have wars in Europe, we have wars in the Middle East, we had a short war, but that really affected us a lot in India and Pakistan. the amount of cancellations that we got in Thailand because of that was crazy. So this is not an easy environment we're operating in. I think we'll end up doing well. We are being very careful and monitoring very closely our performance to make sure that we end up the year with the profit that we're forecasting. So we're very focused on cost controlling and making sure that we retain the business that we have to retain.
Omar Romero, I think we've covered everything. Great insights today. And we're looking at seeing you next month, right?
Yes, I'm looking forward to
June
see you.
25th. Right. Right.
Definitely. I will be there.
Okay, so great. So see you soon. It's been a great talking to you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Bill. Great
Omar
talking to you.
Romero, Miner, right? A leading expert in branded restaurants. Thanks so much.
Thank you.